If you're looking for the cheapest and most reliable Madden 22 coins on the market, check out my sponsor, MMOEXPR.com. Links are in the description, and use code JEDI at checkout for 5% off. Alrighty, hey there guys, Adel DeCasa here, aka JediRun95, coming at you guys with another video. So in this video, guys, I'm going to be coming at you guys with my year-end wrap-up series continuing on. And with that, we're going to be talking about abilities that I think you should be looking in for to invest into your team for next year. Now, you got to keep in mind, there could be some new abilities that are coming next year, but this is what I am just working with right now, so we don't know for certain what we're going to be doing. Now, I'm basing this off of how good it was in Madden 22, and also after playing the Madden 23 beta, which is now over, by the way. At the time of me recording this video, I have not given a final thoughts on the Madden 23 beta. I do plan to release that eventually, but I will go over that when I do get there. So, but I'm also thinking about, like, not just how good it was in this game, in 22, about how good the ability could be in 23. And I wanted to make it just as a simple, basic, like, rank everything. But for some reason, I cannot find a tier maker list that has all of them. So I decided to separate it into different things. I got quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, pass rushers, run stopping, and coverage abilities. So I got it set up in that sense. So we're going to start on quarterbacks and then work our way backwards. So continuing on, so let's start with Agile Extender. I don't think you should be looking to invest into this ability next year. Same with Anchored Extender, and same with Closer, Comeback, and Clutch. I think these ones, honestly, if I have my opinion, I think Clutch, Comeback, and Closer should be removed from the game. I don't really think anybody uses those abilities, and so therefore I just don't think anybody is going to want to invest into them. Now let's move on to the rest of them. So first off, we got Conductor. I do think you should be looking to prioritize Conductor next year if you can do it. If you can look to get Conductor on your team, I would actually recommend it. Obviously, getting those faster hot route and blocking adjustments could be beneficial. So especially with this year, like if you're not prepared for something, if you're not prepared for a blitz or whatnot, you're taking a sack, or if you don't have the time to get your route combo set up and then get your blocking set up, you're going to get hit. So be mindful of that. I do think Conductor is going to be very, very good next year. Dashing Deadeye, I don't think is going to be very good. I do think it has some value, but I would argue that Roaming Deadeye would just be better because, it is still glitched. Escape Artist is an X Factor, so I'm putting it here. However, it really could be a B tier ability a B tier X Factor next year. Like, I don't think it's something you should prioritize, but I do think it is something that is going to be very helpful for your offense. But I do think it should go to the D tier just because now it is an X Factor and it is not a superstar ability. As Fearless, I think this is of the utmost importance next year. I do think Fearless is going to be one of those abilities that you absolutely need to have to make sure you get the ball out and accurately to your team, because quite honestly, with how good the pass rush is in Madden 23, which I think is great, now that the instant wins are tuned down, I don't really have any issues with it. But now that it's been changed, I do suspect Fearless will become a meta ability, or a crutch ability as people call it. Gift Wrapped, I'm not really sold on. I tried it a little bit. I'm just not sold on Gift Wrapped. Maybe I just need to play with it a little bit more, but I'm not totally sold on it. Gutsy Scrambler, now honestly, I actually do think this could go in the B tier, maybe even border onto the A tier, because those people that do like to roll out of the pocket a lot, they're going to be facing a lot of pressure from edge rushers because they get off their blocks. They get off the assignment as soon as the quarterback breaks contain, and they try and chase him down. And so with that, I do think people are going to want to use Gutsy Scrambler if they're throwing on the run a lot. We can throw Homer in here as well. I do think people are going to want to use Gutsy Scrambler and Indoor Baller. People are going to want to use this to get that perfect pass accuracy on the run. Hot Route Master, I still think is an S tier ability in Madden 23. I would argue Hot Route Master is probably the second most important ability. I think next year it could be more important than Gunslinger or Pass Lead Elite, in my humble opinion. I do believe that. Inside Deadeye, I think you definitely could put it in the B tier. However, I would not recommend this too much, simply because there are other Deadeye abilities that I do think are better, like Long Range Deadeye. I do think Long Range Deadeye is going to be an A tier ability next year. This is something I think people should be looking to prioritize, especially since it is 1 AP on every quarterback archetype. I don't think it's 2 AP on any other quarterback. I think it's just 1. No look Deadeye, I think is just completely useless. I don't really think people should be looking to get no look Deadeye just because, again, with things like dashing Deadeye or roaming Deadeye or red zone Deadeye, you know, throwing across your body like that, it's just not necessary. Pass lead elite, I'm putting in the S tier. I don't know what it is, but for myself, I have noticed that the ball gets there so much faster with pass lead elite compared to the gunslinger ability. Maybe that's just me. I did notice it towards the end of the beta, though, that gunslinger did actually look much better to use and did look a lot more usable, but especially when it came to the ball velocity, but pass lead elite did seem pretty good. Now, Pocket Deadeye, this is my first hot take. I actually do think this is going to be an A-tier ability next year, and there's a couple of reasons why I say this. First, because of how the pass rushers and the contains are set, it's going to be a lot harder to roll out than it has been in the last couple of years. Again, this is just from the beta. We don't know. Things could change. Lots of stuff could happen. But also the other thing is too, because of how quick they get home, you might need that Deadeye to get that, make sure you have that extra accuracy, right? Same with Fearless. I do think, you know, those two, you know, but I do think Fearless is more important just because of the defensive pressure resistance, whereas with Pocket Deadeye, this will allow you to be able to move, to stand in the pocket and make those throws that you need to make. Protected, I'm actually thinking it's going to be an S tier ability. I know it was a meme around Christmas time because everybody was, and their mother was using quarterback Derrick Henry, which is, like I said, which is one of the reasons I despise that card. But I honestly think Protected could be very important next year, and one of the most important abilities because of how the game plays. Quick Draw, I don't think is going to be very important. Same with Red Zone Deadeye. I think Red Zone Deadeye could have a little bit of a little bit of stuff with it, but I'm not really sold on it. In terms of Safety Valve, I don't think it's very good. Roaming Deadeye, I'm going to put in the A tier. I do think Roaming Deadeye has some validity, but it's only, actually I'm going to put it in the B tier solely because I don't know if you can get out of the pocket consistently. Set Feet Lead, I'm putting in the C. You know, just because it's the worst of the 3 throwing abilities. So I do think it definitely needs to go in the C tier. Sideline Deadeye absolutely should be S tier. Something you should be looking to prioritize for your offense. Especially when you're throwing it to the flats or you're throwing it to the drags underneath, or you're throwing those corner routes on cover 2. Or, you know, those streaks down the sideline on inverted cover 2s. You know, Sideline Deadeye is going to be such an important ability for you guys, and I do think you should be looking to prioritize Sideline Deadeye. Sleight of Hand is garbage, don't use it. Same with, what's another one? Tight Out, it's also garbage, don't use it. I would just rather not. Gunslinger, I'm actually going to put this in the A tier, just because of the fact that, yes, the ball gets out of your hands faster, but it doesn't get to the receiver faster. And this is something I talked about on Twitter. I said this a few weeks ago, that I noticed that the ball was not getting there as fast with Gunslinger as it was with Pass Lead Elite. So there is that. Lofting Deadeye, I would just stay away from it, honestly. Quarterback Playmaker. This is something I think people will use once Playmaker does become active. I do think people might start using it, especially if man coverage becomes meta. I do think people will start to use Playmaker, which, you know, whatever. I mean, if it beats man coverage, then sign me up, because fuck man coverage. But at the same token, I do think a lot of people will start to use it. And then a human joystick, I actually think is going to be a C tier for quarterbacks, maybe even C tier, but is going to be higher up for other positions when we get there. So this is what I think is going to be the best abilities for quarterback play next year, based on how the game plays. Especially in the beta. Let's move on to running backs now. Now, running backs, obviously, there is a little bit of differentiating things. So we're going to get these easy ones out of the way. You know, things like, you know, you reach for it, Energizer, grab and go, pardon me, return man, second wind, Playmaker. I don't think running backs can even get Playmaker. No, they can't. They just straight up cannot get Playmaker. I think Balance Beam is another one. I'm just not a fan of Balance Beam. I just don't think it's very good. Armbar is also pretty bad. Don't use it. Just don't use Armbar. They can't even get matchup Nightmare if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think they can. Actually, I think receiving backs can, but I don't think that's something you should worry about. So yeah, those are the abilities for that. Now we'll move on to the actually ranking them. Backfield Master, obviously, I think is going to be a must-have for your offense if you don't have Hot Route Master. Backfield Mismatch is also going to be a very good ability. I would definitely have that. Bruiser, I don't think is going to be very good. I really think next year is going to be the year of small shifty backs or just evasive backs in general, which is why I also think Bulldozer is not going to be very high up there. Evasive, on the other hand, I'm going to put in the B tier as a prediction. I do think Evasive is going to be very, very good with the jukes and spins. Human Joystick on backs, I actually do think could climb into the A tier, maybe even S tier. With the new hard cut system that they've brought in, I do think a lot of people will probably start to use it, especially on running backs with higher change of direction as the year progresses. And so with that, I do think people are going to want to use spin cycle or use a human joystick in that sense. Jukebox, I think, is still really good. I think Jukebox is one of the better abilities in the game. Leapfrog, I think, may not be that good this year because I think EA has changed up Leapfrog to where you still can fumble when you hurdle somebody. I have seen people say that they have fumbled the ball when they've tried to hurdle, so I don't necessarily know if that's entirely truthful, but that is something I have heard. Spin cycle, I do think spin cycle is going to be pretty bad because spins have been completely nerfed in Madden 23. They're not going to be the best. Now running backs this year can actually get short in and out elite. They had that in the MUT beta this year. So for those abilities, I actually will put them in the S tier. I actually do think short in and short out elite are both going to be very important on running backs. Now, obviously, whatever you should get one or the other. I don't think you should get both because I think they're 2 AP each on running backs, receiving backs, or otherwise. So, I mean, it all just depends on what you normally put out for your running back. If you put them on like you putting them on a flat route or a ghost route, maybe you put them on a short out. If you like putting them on an in route or on a curl, or on a angle route, maybe it would be better to put it on short in that sense. So I just think personally, it all just depends on which one, but they can get those this year, which is great. Running back apprentice, I also think is going to be very important. I definitely think A for that. Red zone threat for running backs, I don't think it's going to be very good. Same with route technician. I think actually route tech on running back is straight up useless because backfield mismatch and matchup nightmare are or not backfield not nightmare. Backfield mismatch and backfield master give you the route tech within the ability as well as the better catching. Slot-o-matic, I think, is straight up going to be useless this year. I don't think Slot-o-matic on running backs you should ever use. And then tank on running backs for Madden 23, I would actually put in the B tier just because, as I said, with the human joystick, I think people are going to use those shifty backs that have high change of direction, and people are going to want to use that hard cut system that's in the game. So I do think that. So this is what I think you should be prioritizing for your backs. Obviously, if you want the power running backs, you definitely could put tank up a little bit more. If you like trucking people, obviously you can go with these, but this is just from what I've seen in the beta. Moving on to wide receivers now. So for wide receivers, let's get the easy ones out of the way, like armbar, bruiser, bulldozer. I don't know why chuck out is here, but I will put that there. Grab and go, evasive, return man, second wind. Energizer, Homer, we'll get these stupid ones out of the way right now because, quite honestly, these are all completely useless in the majority of facets. Reach for it as well. We'll just get rid of those. Now let's get into the actual abilities. Deep in, I don't think... Oh, I grabbed deep out. Let me just fix that. Deep in, I don't think people are going to use it. I don't think people are going to want to use deep in. From my understanding, deep in and out elite has been raised in AP to 3. Now, keep in mind, this is in the beta, so they obviously could change the AP, and quite frankly, I expect them to. So they could definitely change it overall, but I do think deep in and even deep out elite, I don't think are going to be very important. Human joystick on running on receivers, I don't think it's going to be very important either. I think it's going to be more important on the running backs just because you are going to be running the ball. It's going to be more likely to be active on your running back than it is your wide receiver, simply just because of the fact that, one, your running back is probably on the field most, if not all, your snaps for the most part. And then secondly, there's just more important abilities out there. Jukebox, I would honestly put this in F tier. Leapfrog, same thing, honestly. Matchup Nightmare, I mean, I usually am high on Matchup Nightmare, but I don't think it's going to be very good, just because with the with how Madden 23 plays, I don't think it could be very good. Mid, in, and out elite may be a little bit more important next year, might be a little bit more used because, it takes a little less time for them those routes to develop, and also they are cheaper. I think they're like 2 AP a piece on like playmaker wide receivers, which I think are the new route runners. So we'll wait and see about that. Outside apprentice, I still think is going to be solid. Those deep posts, those deep corner routes, like where they break inside, look like they're running a streak, and then break out to the corner. I think could be a very good route still. In terms of other, like the post corner, it's okay. Red zone threat, I think is going to be very, very important next year. The red zone is so difficult to find ways to score in Madden 23. I noticed that pretty well this year, especially with how defenders react. Finding a way to score in the red zone is going to be hard. And that's why I think red zone threat for receivers is going to be S tier because of that added difficulty. Route tech is always going to be great. It's always just going to be great because it's route technician. It gives you the ability to cut against man. It destroys man coverage. Same with slot-o-matic. The only difference is with slot-o-matic is it does give you the extra catching on short passes, but you have to be in the slot with that receiver. But that's not a big deal. You just put it on your starting slot receiver. You just put it on him. Big deal. It's not a big deal. Short in and out elite, I do think these ones are going to be highly sought after because of the time it takes for these routes to develop and also the catch bonus, and maybe because they could be still glitched. I personally think they're not glitched. I think it was designed to be the way it was, where if it breaks on that specific type of route, you actually get acted like a route tech, but just for that specific situation. Slot Apprentice, I think Slot Apprentice, my opinion, is still the best single best receiving ability in the entire, and the receive hot route ability in the entire game. The post route from the slot, the corner from the slot, the crosser, all of those routes that the slot receiver gets are just fantastic. And I would not be. I think everybody should have a slot apprentice on their slot receiver on their offense. I really do. It's just that good of an ability to me. Wide receiver apprentice obviously has to go up here as well. Not only do you get the slot, but you will also get the outside apprentice, which is great. Playmaker and wide receivers, I think it's going to be very, very good. Again, if defense is as good as it is in the beta, which again I suspect it will stay that way. And if also man coverage is as good as people say it is, because I've heard some people say man coverage is pretty good. Obviously, playmaker is going to be very sought after. And then spin cycle, I just wouldn't even bother with it. So, but like I said, these are the abilities I would recommend trying to go after for your receivers. For tight ends, obviously, it's a little different. Obviously, I would put Matchup Nightmare in the S tier, and then put like Slot-O-Matic and Route Tech in the D tier for tight ends. Simply just because the Route Tech and the Slot-O-Matic are very expensive on tight ends. I think they're like 4 AP a piece, and Matchup Nightmare is only 2 AP, so I would do that. And then obviously put Tight End Apprentice and like whatnot for their S tier. Like, you get it, but that's what I would do for that. Offensive line we got next. Now, offensive line abilities, I think, are going to be so important next year. I really think offensive line abilities are going to be so important. So for that reason, other than this one right here, which I honestly do not know which this one is. I think it might have been in Madden 21, but it was removed for 22. Other than that, I don't think it's going to be an F tier. Any of these are going to be F tier. Starting with All Day, I actually do think this is going to be very sought after. It does give you better protection on quick sheds, which means that basically when someone tries to shed you real quick, you'll get better protection. or stronger protection in that situation. And obviously, the more time you can get, the better. Edge Protector, I think, is going to return to dominance next year. I think it's going to be a crutch ability for your offense. Either this or another ability we'll get to later. I think Edge Protector is going to be so crucial because with how good Pass Rush is, people are going to probably start to invest in Edge Threat or Edge Threat Elite, double or nothing. Maybe Edge Threat and Edge Threat Elite just because that's the only thing that counters it. And Edge Protector is going to be so crucial because it counters Edge Threat and Edge Threat Elite. Very simply. Fool me once, I honestly think it could be B tier. I actually do think it may not be that bad, but I don't think it'll be that good either, to be completely honest. Because I do think Fool Me Once, it gives you, I think it's stronger resistance after like one or more attempts of the same move, if I'm not mistaken. Identifier, I think, is going to be a straight up S tier ability. I love Identifier. I wish I could have ran it in Madden 22 consistently, but unfortunately, the 2 AP cost just could not allow me to justify using it. I personally, I've talked about it before, but I think that it should be 0 AP for Identifier, but that's beside the point. Lifeguard, I honestly don't even know what Lifeguard does, so I'm going to put it in the D tier. If I knew what it did, I probably would be like, yeah, no problem. Nasty Streak, I'm going to say A tier for Nasty Streak, and here's why. People might turn this game into a blitz-heavy game because of how good defense is. People might play send 6 and play man coverage, right? Nasty Streak could help prevent that a little bit by making it so that way defensive backs and linebackers who are blitzing get absolutely rocked, which may not help that much, but it could definitely be an extra little bit of help for your protection purposes, and I do think that it could be very useful. Now, will it be? Probably not, but this is just a guess based on how the game played and what I think is going to be key for Mutt next year. In terms of natural talent, I'm putting it in C tier. Beginning the game with higher blocker resistance is going to be cool and all, but how much is that really going to help you in the long game, right? I just don't think it's going to help you that much in the long game, so I'm going to put it in C. It could be useful, but I don't think it will be. Polar Elite, I actually do like Polar Elite. I'm putting it in B tier. If you run a scheme where you have guards that like to pull to the side, like base schemes, power runs, even some certain what's another one, like base power, like basically where you can get your linemen to pull off the offensive line off their specific area and then go around and block the guy on the other side. Like you would understand it like better if I probably can explain it. But I do like Polar Elite in that sense. But the problem is you have to be specifically running those type of plays in order for it to be good. Screen Protector, I'm putting it in B, a D tier, I mean. I don't think Screen Protector is going to be very good. Nobody calls screen passes. Well, I mean, I've had maybe 4 or 5 screen passes called on me all year. I don't think anybody really cares for screen passes. Honestly, I just don't think they can't care. Tear Proof, I'm putting in the C tier. Like, it depends on the lineman you're going up against, but it's a very situational ability. Like, if you got a lineman that like to do a lot of rip moves or like a lot of rip moves, I think it could be very, very solid in that situation, but other than that, it's not going to be good. Threat Detector, this is another hot take. I actually do think it's going to be a very, very good ability next year, very sought after. As I said, with the abilities, this could be like I said, with Nasty Streaks, it could be a send 6 and pray that you get pressure game next year, and having that ability to see the extra blitzers on 3rd and 4th down could be the difference for you between a sack or getting the ball at least out of your hands, right? And I love Threat Detector this year. In general, I love Threat Detector. I loved using it in 21. I thought it was very good. The only problem is with 21, they decided to up it to 3 AP, which I think was too much. I think 2 AP is fine. But Threat Detector, I think it's going to be something that a lot of people will look to add to their offense. And quite frankly, I might do so in the first few weeks of the year, if I can, just to see if it's as good as I hope it will be. Natural Talent, it's just Tough Nut. I'm putting in D tier simply because I don't remember what Tough Nut does. Unspun, this is another situational one where it's good against people who like to do spin moves and whatnot. I just don't think it's going to be that solid. Now, post up. Now, this is another hot take. I don't think post up is going to be very good next year because of the fact, as I alluded to, people might make this a Send 6 game, right? They might make it a Send 6, Send 5, make sure there's no double teams or whatnot on the defensive line in any way, shape, or form. And because of that, you're not going to be able to get those double team blocks consistently with your post up. So that's why I think that post up may not be very good. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe post up is as good as it was this year. Doubt it, but who knows? And then secure protector, I think, is going to be S tier. This and edge protector, I think, are the two best offensive line abilities in the game. And I do think secure protector is going to be another one that's very sought after because unlike edge protector, secure protector not only counters edge threat and edge threat elite and double and whatnot, but it also counters double or nothing. It also counters like inside stuff, no outsiders. Zan Madden did a whole video on secure protector. I will link it in the description. Go check it out. It is a fantastic video. But I'm looking to try and add a couple of secure protectors to my offense when I have the ability to do so next year. I think it's a very, very good ability. Moving on to the pass rusher. So now we're out of the offense. We're moving on to the defense to talk about pass rushing. So for adrenaline rush, giving all your pass rush points back with sacks, I think it's going to be solid. I think it'll be solid simply because of the fact that it's pretty good. Getting sacks in this game is not that hard. And when someone gets that sack that has adrenaline rush, they get all those pass rush points back, meaning that they can go at the edge rusher. Like, say, for example, you pair it with something like, say, double or nothing. They use their double or nothing. They power through that guy. They go get the sack. Now they get all of their pass rush points back, and they still have and they still can use that those pass rush points with double or nothing again to get another one and then another one. Now, obviously, it's not going to be an infinite loop, but the potential for that good combination is there, and I think it could be very useful next year. Buy one, get one free, basically giving you a free pass rush point after you spend one. I also think could be very good, especially, again, in combination with things like double or nothing. Getting that extra pass rush point, again, in combination with that, you're basically getting like a double or nothing activation with one pass rush point, if I'm correct. I don't know how the pass rush points work. I'm just guessing here, right? Defensive rally, I don't think defensive rally will be very good. There is only one instance in which this ability is good, and it is with the double or nothing ability on your edges or on your defensive line in general. That is the only time double or nothing is actually good. Because other than that, double or nothing is not double or nothing. Defensive rally is not as good as people think. Like, yeah, you get an extra pass rush point for the game and whatnot. But personally speaking, I think you just generate a pass rush point going into every down anyways. So you can get like 2 or 3, but I don't know. Maybe defensive rally is better than I'm giving it credit for. Now the next 3, double or nothing, edge threat, and edge threat elite. I know they're the same symbol for these two, but just say one is edge threat. I think will be dominant next year. I think these 3 abilities are going to get to the point where EA is going to have to either nerf the pass rush, which they shouldn't, or make these abilities cost 4 or 5 AP again. I think they're going to have to do something about that because having an edge threat, a regular edge threat for 2 AP next year, if they keep the AP cost the same as they are in Madden 22, if they keep it at 2 AP, it's going to be a nightmare to go up against people who are consistently using edge threat. Or what they probably will do is drop edge protector down to 1 AP, so that way, can help balance out the offense a little bit. Because right now, Madden 23, if you've played the beta, Madden 23 is a very defensive-focused game. Madden 23 is very defensive focused. They're on the ball, they're reacting, they're getting on the quarterback, they're getting home, they're getting off their blocks to get after the QB when he rolls out. The run defense is not there yet. It's not there. I'm hoping it does get better. But, defense is pretty hard, right? Defense is pretty gruesome. It's pretty aggressive, and having to make it to where you need that extra help on offense could be what they do for Madden 23. So I think they will do that. El Toro, I think, is a very good one. Dominant bull rush wins for max rush points. Again, great combination with defensive rally. The only problem with bull rush is you have to have max pass rush points for this to activate. So if you have like 2 pass rush points, it doesn't work. Whatever. Extra credit, I think, could be solid, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. It gives you an extra pass rush point. It just gives you an extra pass rush point in that sense. So it could be good, could be not. I don't know. Instant rebate. Now, I honestly do not remember what instant rebate does, so I'm putting it in the C tier. I really cannot remember what instant rebate does. I wish I did, but I cannot remember what it does. So I apologize for that one. Mr. Big Stop. I know it's something to do with 3rd and 4th down, but I'm going to put it in the D tier. I just think there's so many better abilities. Ripper could be solid if you're using a person that has a lot of that uses a lot of rip through moves, and the way you could check out, like, when you're looking at a pass rusher, do they use like X, Y, and Z for pass rush moves? All you need to do is look on mutt.gg with their player tendencies. They will have uses uses spin move, yes, uses swim, uses rip, all that stuff. Speedster, again, there's just so many better ones. These ones right here we're talking about are specifically for specific moves. Now, Ripper, Speedster, Spin Top, I believe it's what that one's called, and Swim Club, ignore 1 bar of blocker resistance each time you use it. So, again, I don't know how necessarily it works, but it could be definitely very good. Spin Top or Spinner. Spinner is what it's called. Yes, there we go. Again, another B tier, another D tier. Swim Club, again, another D tier ability. I don't think these pass rush move ones, I'm going to put them all here. I don't think the specific design pass rush moves are good unless you have a specific idea in mind of what that player uses for their pass rush moves. Unpredictable, I think it's going to be worse next year because I know a lot of people, especially EA, have been hearing people say unpredictable is really good. And I do think it's going to go down. I don't think it's going to be removed. I think it might cost 2 AP, but I still think unpredictable is going to be something you should look at because obviously, less likely to have block resistance obviously means, you're going to get yourself potential chances to win more reps, which means you can get home more. All that shenanigans, it's going to be insane. And then under pressure, I think is going to be S tier. Once again, getting that pressure, having that extended area of pressure on the edge on your guy, doesn't matter where, for under pressure. Having that extra thing, I think this is another ability I think EA may actually change in price and make it 3 AP for under pressure for defensive ends because it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be very good. Now, moving on to run stopping abilities. Now, run defense, as I alluded to a little while ago, in Madden 23, not the best. Run defense is not there yet. I hope they change that a little bit. Right now, though, if they don't change it, I won't be too upset because I don't want them changing a whole lot and making the game worse. But I do want them to change up the run defense. But Enforcer, let's talk about Enforcer. Enforcer, I think, is going to be very good. The tackle battle system is something that people don't like, and I'm included. I hate the tackle battle system. I think it needs to go. But it seems like EA is dead set on keeping it in the game. And so Enforcer, when you're engaged in that tackle battle and you have somebody coming up to hit the ball out, you hit the other guy, it could be very good, could be very bad. Who knows? I don't necessarily know for certain. Goal line stuff, honestly, if they keep it at 1 AP, I think this could be an S tier ability. I really do think if EA keeps goal line stuff at 1 AP, it could be an S tier ability because of the fact that it is hard to pass in the red zone. I've talked about this before with the red zone threat. It's hard to pass in the red zone, right? And so people are naturally gonna probably want to run closer to the end zone and on the goal line. So if they do run on the goal line, you have goal line stuff. It doesn't matter if it's a stretch or if it is an inside zone, a trap, which is another one that uses Puller Elite that I just remembered. Trap, inside zone, stretch, power run. It doesn't matter. If it's on the goal line, this will activate. And so when that does, obviously, You can get that quicker shed win or that instant shed win, and you can get in the backfield and you can get the stop, which again could be helpful, right? Again, especially in this game with pass defense being as crazy as it is. And again, please keep it that way. Same with no outsiders and inside stuff. Only if they keep it at 1 AP on run stoppers do I think that this will be good. If they make it 2 AP again, I don't think it's going to be as good. I think it could drop down to B tier, maybe even C tier, depending on, especially for no outsiders. Inside stuff, I would still say, even at 2 AP, would still be an A tier ability, because a lot of people run inside the inside zone, base, power runs, and all that stuff. But if they keep it a 1 AP, all three of these are going to be S tier abilities. But if they change it anyway, look for them to drop when we talk about them next year. Out My Way, yeah, I'm putting it in the D tier. I don't think you should be looking at Out My Way next year. It's good, but it's just not as good as I would like it to be. Sometimes, even though you have Out My Way and you're blocked out by a wide receiver, sometimes you cannot win that rep. You don't get that win, and you still end up on that block. I've had that happen so many times last year with Cam Chancellor, where he was engaged with a wide receiver or a tight end, and he just didn't get off the block and go and make the tackle, which doesn't make sense to me, because it's supposed to give you dominant impact block wins against wide receivers, tight ends, and halfbacks. So, I don't know. Reach Elite, I think, could be an A tier ability. Now, you have to understand, let me explain. Reach Elite allows you to tackle a player while engaged with an offensive lineman. And when you can't scramble outside of contains, which, by the way, this is already great on contains, because if a guy tries to go out through a contain, sometimes you can just grab him and tackle him down when he's engaged with that blocker. But then, there might be those people that scramble up the middle. I've been getting into the habits a little bit of stepping up into the pocket. Like, I'm working on that myself. I've never been actually someone to learn that. But when people do step up like that, sometimes they'll just want to take off. And if you have this on your defensive tackles, you could actually either get that sack that he's trying to get, or you can minimize the gain that the quarterback is going to be getting. Now, it's not perfect, obviously, but I do think Reach Elite could be very good next year. Run Stopper, it gives you free instant sheds. It gives you free sheds on run plays, meaning that when you're on a run play, you don't use pass rush points, which sounds good, but it doesn't necessarily do what you think it should. You know, like, when I think of Run Stopper, I think of instant wins on all run plays. Kind of like what inside, kind of like something that's better than inside stuff, no outsiders, and goal line stuff. But it's not that way. So, but Secure Tackler, this one I also think is going to be in the A tier. With the tackle battles coming back into Madden 23 and the ability to get those broken tackles. And you know what? Let me even throw in Tackle Supreme. With the tackle battles returning next year, I do think things like Secure Tackler, Tackle Supreme, are going to be something you look at, because, and even Stonewall. Let me actually throw in Stonewall here, because this will prevent them from gaining extra yards, meaning that when you actually get your hand on the person in a tackle battle, they actually cannot fight through and get the extra yards. They're actually stuck and they cannot go anywhere. And then with Tackle Supreme and Secure Tackler, getting those better tackling animations or getting those better tackle wins, again, could be the difference between a turnover on downs or a touchdown, right? So I think that those two could be really good. Now, Tackle Supreme just adds Unfakeable to it, which I don't think is very good. I'm going to actually put it in F tier. Unfakeable is just not that good. Strip Specialist. This is another hot take, and I'm only putting it on here solely based on how Madden 23 is playing. I do think it's going to be very good. And I think it's going to get to the point where, like I talked about with some other ones, EA is going to have no choice but to change the AP on this. Because at the current moment, before the beta ended yesterday, the amount of strips you could get in the tackle battles were pretty frequent. Like, there was a lot amount of times where the ball carrier on the CPU ball carrier, because when I played the beta, I just played head to head off against the computer, and then a few bits of franchise mode. But I would notice that they would be dropping the ball a lot more and fumbling the ball a lot more. And strip specialist gives you the increased chance to strip the ball out. And in those tackle battles specifically, they were dropping the ball quite a bit. And so I do think people are going to use that, and they're going to put these strip specialists on some of their players to help strip the ball out, especially those guys that come in like after the tackle battles have been initiated, and they're looking to make that extra hit. So lastly, we'll talk about coverage abilities. These are the final ones, so thank you guys for sticking through to the entire video. I really do appreciate everyone who did. Moving on though, Acrobat I think is still going to be very good. Even though it is 3 AP, I still think having one Acrobat on your user is going to be so important, especially with how tight the coverage is in this game. I do think sometimes you're going to need that extra Acrobat, that extra lunge in order to be able to pick off a pass. Bench press, I'm putting in C. I really think this could be a B tier just because it does help drain the fatigue on players in man coverage when you're playing man-to-man. So I definitely could see that being a thing. Same with chuck out in receiver cornerbacks. I do think chuck out could also be very good because of the fact that obviously pass rush is fast. You press it, and people might even press as well underneath. Like they may press their corners and they may, play underneath and all that stuff. And if you're playing man or zone, obviously you're going to get that extra press animation, the extra ability to press, which then means that you can fatigue the receiver more likely, which also means that it's going to be harder for the player to win the rep. And then, your pass rush is getting home and they're whacking the quarterback. It's going to be frustrating. I do think that's going to happen. Deep in zone KO, until I see that EA has changed it, because I didn't see it much in the beta, but until I see that EA has changed deep in zone KO, I refuse to acknowledge its existence. It is complete waste of AP. Do not look at this thing until we know for certain it has been addressed. Deep out zone KO is an S tier ability in my opinion. Even though, yes, the reactions for the defenders are great, the point for deep out zone KO and for all the zone KOs is going to be the knockout aspect. Because sometimes, even though you react well and you get there to make a play, he still comes down with the ball. Your opponent will still come down with the ball. And obviously, you don't want that sometimes. You want to be able to knock it out and force the incompletion and, maybe even get a pick. So I do think the KO abilities like deep out zone KO, especially on the deep passes, are going to be very important. Same with deep route KO, I think is going to be an A tier. I'm not putting it in man, putting in S, because it's a man coverage ability and it's disgusting. So I refuse. Flat zone KO, I think all the zone KOs, my apologies, let me put in the zone KOs. I think all the zone KOs are going to be S tier abilities, just because of the extra knockout and the extra reaction time. I think they're all going to be great. Lurker, I still think is an S tier ability, even though linebackers don't animate without it, which I don't understand why they don't. Just fix that, but for some reason they haven't. But in the meantime, Lurker I still think is an S tier ability if you want linebackers on the field. However, I don't necessarily think it is going to be a complete disservice to have linebackers on the field without Lurker. I will actually make a video titled My 5 to 10 Bold Predictions for Madden 23. And I'll touch on that more when we get there. So, mid-route KO, definitely going to be something good. Even short route KO, I think is going to be also really good as well. One step ahead, let me grab this. One step ahead, I don't think it's going to be very good, simply just because all it does is just cancel route tech out. It does not actually make it to where you actually knock the ball out. So, maybe some people like one step ahead and put it in B tier, but I don't think one step is as good as it was. Tip drill, just don't even look at it. It's garbage. Same with outmatched. Pick artist, C tier seems fine to me. Maybe even throw it up in A tier if you really want to. On the ball is complete ass. Film study, sure, we'll put it in C tier. I didn't know what else to put this one in because quite honestly, I don't think it should be in the game. I used to think it should be, but no, I don't. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for the video. So just a quick recap. I'll go click through these as I say the outro. So if you guys did enjoy this video, guys, if you guys did enjoy this video, my apologies. If you guys could leave a like and a subscription for the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, comment below, what do you guys think are going to be the abilities you are going to look at for Madden 23? What are you thinking that is going to be what you're going to tailor your offense to? What do you think is going to be good? What do you think is not going to be good? Let me know in the comments, guys. I always would like to see your guys' interactions and see your likes and comments. But until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.